So the question is, what is your goal for this quarter? It could be anything. It could be social. It could be college stuff. It could be family stuff. It could be anything. Personal, startup, company related, internship, whatever it may be. Might be to get into the associates board. Anything. So yeah, the question is, I'll throw it in chat, what is your goal for this quarter? And just throw it in chat and let's talk about it. Oh, Sophie, you did that privately.
I will send it again, thanks.
Also enjoy the music. Become a morning person.
I think it would be really enhance my productivity to become a morning person, so I'm gonna try really hard.
It is definitely difficult because I'm not a morning person either, and it's just like you have to fight very hard.
Yeah, I'm not really a morning person or a night person. I kind of operate on like a midnight to 8 a.m. type of schedule, but I would like to shift that back a little bit. We'll see how successful I am though. It definitely seems challenging.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
Zach, I hope, or Zachary, whatever you prefer, I hope CPE can help you out with that.
We got a lot.
That's a step. Stay on top of academics. It's always a good goal. 5 new friends. Quality friends, right? We don't want no bad friends.
Jack always going for more sales.
Always.
Pretty one-track mind.
I mean, you're gonna make it to the
I have
top.
another goal. That's the really professional one, though. The other one.
Meet new people. If your goal is meet new people, hello, my name is Armand. It's very nice to meet you. I have 8 amazing officer board members that would love to meet you too. Associates board, love to see it. Learn to surf. We have beautiful beaches. Learn to do airs on a surfboard. Jack, once you get it, I want you to take out a GoPro and I want to see a video of that.
I will. I'll send you a video. It's a work in progress for a little while, and I'm like so close. So I'll get you that soon.
That's amazing.
Keep bugging me about it. You'll make me do it faster.
Got you. Polyculture.
Oh, yes, Kaylin, yes.
Yeah?
I heard that on October 15th, a negative test will suffice instead of quarantining.
Yep. If you are negative COVID, then you can come to Hawaii and not have to quarantine now.
So, one less barrier for us to get there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to keep reading through these. Connor, I want to see those drone photos. Wherever you're at, I want to see the before and after improvement level.
Connor, wherever you are out there, you should connect with Davey Kozik. He's another CPE member who's been in CPE for a long time and does a lot of awesome drone stuff. His name is, you can look him up on Instagram under Davey Drones, and you'll see all of his stuff. If you want a drone flying buddy.
Drop the full tag.
Okay. Will do.
Kenny, I am with you there with the internship grind. Antonia, let me know which way is the right way to pronounce that.
It's Antonia. Antonia? Yeah.
Antonia. All right. I mean, I don't know how much looking and searching you've done for clubs, but if you just search Cal Poly clubs, there's like an entire list of like 300 or something, and it's like chronological, or you can search it by type. Very useful. And it has like contact info and like descriptions about the club, so it's quick to get involved.
On that note, is anyone here from the Art 182 classes? I did some entrepreneurship club pitching there. So if anyone is here, I'd kind of like to recognize you. Anyone?
I'm from the 182 you just went to.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
We got 2 more minutes. Learn more about internships and SLO. Sophie, Jack, Kaylin, I feel like y'all might know the most about that. I mean, I don't want to say Maddie, Sarah, and Allie don't. Any of you do. Basically,
there are so many
I
opportunities.
Yeah, I would say go to the Hot House and you'll find lots of startups and lots of internship possibilities.
Go to the Hot House, yes, and there's also some established companies that like we're connected with as a club, and we can connect you guys with. Just to rattle a couple off the top of my mind, I'm pretty sure we have connections at Dozuki, iFixit, MindBody, Whalebird. Sophie, you got any others?
Maybe White Fox.
Yes, White Fox.
He's come to speak at our meetings before.
Yep, we have White Fox. What else did we do from the SLO tour? We can think more on this. But there is quite a bit.
Ticket points, repairs, Bolt About if they're still up and running.
I don't believe Bolt About's like hiring, but
David is. Oh yeah, I don't think Bolt About is. David is offering his company Eden. If anyone wants to be involved in the startup.
And again, anything in the Hot House too. Is there a directory of like everything that's in the Hot House?
It's coming. I'm
Okay,
actually working on it with Joseanne, CEO, and Kaylin.
Oh, awesome.
Because we thought that would be a good idea.
That's a great idea. So that'll be.
So it's coming to
It's basically,
Okay,
look,
Armand, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a good place to start. Stop. All right. Okay, we got our screen and everything. One quick message before we get started. If your comment to that question was anything about networking or meeting new people, please feel free to like just shout out at people in the chat and say, hey, I want to talk. Stay back afterwards after the meetings. The officer board members are always here and happy to chat, get to know you, and do some networking. So with that being said, let us hop into our first personal primer for the quarter. Woo! Super exciting. So the first one is kind of similar to our topic for the day, but
Wait, Armand, could you go over the personal primer for people if they haven't been here yet?
Sure. Yeah, of course. For anyone new to CPE and was not here last week, and just as a fresh reminder, so we are doing a segment every week called the Personal Primer to build up foundations for entrepreneurial-minded people. And these will be a series of hard skills and just mental exercise topics, I guess, that will just get you a lot sharper and yeah, like build your skill set that we found appropriate and thought it would be nice. It would add value to your lives. A little comment on that as well. If any of you have any ideas for things you think are important, you know, any type of skills or anything, feel free to reach out to any officer board member, and you may have the opportunity to, you know, be the person talking about it for 5 to 10 minutes instead of us. We'd love to have one of our members leading this series or just one lecture. So yeah, so today we're doing the first personal primer, and it is Design Your Life. So we're gonna just jump into this. And the first part of designing your life, whether it's for a startup or personal development, professional, social, anything about your life, you always want to start with why. So starting with why, it requires a lot of introspection and just a lot of personal observation, thinking inwards. And it's probably one of the hardest parts, but also the most rewarding, because your why stays with you throughout everything you do. So last week, if you remember, we talked about for startups, you want to become obsessed with the problem, not the solution. So if we're thinking of a startup, your why is your problem. If you're thinking about personal development, your why is your values, and everything you do in that center. So whether it's your startup or your personal life or whatever it may be, you're carrying those same values, those core beliefs, and that's what's going to help you succeed. So this requires a lot of mental exercises and inward thinking to figure out what are your values and sharpening your values. But it is also the most rewarding because everything afterwards just flows through this. So the next step, once you've established your why, you want to go into your what. So you want to brainstorm and establish your what. So let's take your startup idea, for example, right? Let's say, for example, my why is, I'm thinking my values, I want to be able to talk to my family at whatever point, wherever I am, like if I'm traveling or if I'm at work. And therefore, my what is going to be creating a certain iPhone charger or a phone charger that will allow me to do that. This is my value proposition. What value am I adding to my customers? Or for personal development purposes, what is it that I'm going to do in order to stay aligned with my values? So this is a pure manifestation of your why, and your what can be flexible because while your values stay the same, you can change ideas. You can choose a new product. You could choose a new way to establish, to manifest your why. You may choose a different hobby to align with your values, but so it's flexible. And in that sense, it's kind of relieving because you're never tied down with what you're doing in your life or your company or hobbies. And finally, the most flexible and malleable is your how. This is when you figure out and you plan. So planning out your day, planning out your week, your month, your year, setting goals. And this is, I mean, everyone has a different approach. And so this is where you are unique, you know? This is your solution. So I want to like have my phone always charged. That's why I'm having a value proposition. I might create a charging dock or a certain cord, or I don't know, maybe like a implant on my hand that I just tap it to my hand and there you go, my phone is charged. And if it's personal development, maybe, you know, you'll pick up yoga or you'll start eating healthier, have a better sleep schedule, or whatever it is you're doing. So the most important part with how is staying consistent and having a organized plan. So scheduling and sticking to your plan. And again, this is also very flexible. So your why is going to stay the same, but you can always change your what, and therefore you can always change your hows, you know? So your core is the same, but you can always change direction. So before I continue, and in that sense, like we talked about last week, from your why and your what and your how, you can always iterate. So that's the main word. Iterating is okay. It is okay to change. If you put in so much work into something and you decide, you know, this isn't working out, I'm going to try a different what, I'm going to try a different how. It's okay because you've set your foundation, you've set your why, you know your problem, you know what it is you're passionate about, and you've worked on a good how and a good what. You've learned something, you've benefited from all the work you put in, and you just change direction. So never be fearful, or, you know, changing direction is not a bad thing ever because you're always learning. So a few resources to design your life and further dive into this topic. There will be more in the workbook, but 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Start with Why, and of course, Designing Your Life are 3 excellent books. I've read 2 out of 3. A lot of officer members have read almost all of these too. These are great reads and really put what we just talked about into very digestible words and sentences, and it's great reads. Highly recommend. You can find all of these books in the toolkit and the workbook, which we will be sending out the week after the meetings. So you will receive the segment for this meeting next week, and there will be more resources related to this topic. Any input from anyone? So questions or anything before we dive into the actual meeting? officer members, feel free to jump in if I forgot something too. No? Okay. Yeah, what's up?
Are we gonna announce the
After.
side hustle challenge after? Okay.
Yeah. All announcements will be after. Okay.
Gotcha.
Then on that note, wait, let me check the chat. Is there anything in the chat? Is there email list to check this information? Okay, I'll answer these questions after while we continue. Yeah, so that being said, I'm gonna pass the virtual stage onto our guest for this week. Professor Castlemann is gonna be hosting a workshop for us on design thinking. So I'll pass you the mic, Professor Castlemann.
All right. Can you guys see a screen that says design thinking ideation? If you can, like thumbs up. Awesome. Hi, everybody. Totally excited to be here. I've been talking to this group for the last few years for something similar, and it's always been in person. So totally exciting and scary to do it remotely. My name is Wendy Castlemann. I am a professor for teaching the design thinking course in the business entrepreneurship minor. And I also run a company called Develop People UX, where I consult with design executives and others who are trying to infuse design thinking into their organizations. So that's just my 2 seconds on me. Let's move on. How many of you have ever seen a light bulb? Like all of you, yeah, good. All right, so have you ever noticed that when people talk about ideas, they are, it's often represented with a light bulb? There, you guys froze on me, so I'll just keep going. Okay, so it's represented by a light bulb. Does anybody know, and you can use the chat if you'd like, why we use a light bulb as an indicator of ideas?
Is it because it's a original, like one of the first main breaks in innovation?
It was a huge innovation and just totally dominated and transformed the industry of lighting, certainly. There was actually a race for inventing it after kind of the concept arose. Anybody else? It's sort of the thing, the physical thing of lighting up and just like this excitement that happens with the new idea, sort of related to a light. But I want to draw your attention to the bottom of a light bulb. Most light bulbs, not all, have a screw on them at the bottom. Does anybody know where that idea came from? I'll tell you the story. So it ends up back in the day when all the scientists were trying to invent the light bulb, and there were thousands of iterations that were being tried from a couple of different inventors in their companies. And one of the people in Edison's lab was frustrated because the base that he was putting the light bulb into that carried the electricity kept dropping out. The light bulb kept falling out, and he was really frustrated with it. And he was like, how can I get this stupid thing to just sit here while I screw around with it? And it was, of course, without the cool globe over the top, but it was just the wires. But the wire, it kept falling out. So he did not have electric light at the time, so used a can that he had of kerosene oil to pour into his lamp to, get it going again and refilling his lamp. And it occurred to him that he was screwing this lid on. And he was like, wait a second, if the base is like a lid, then the light can be like the bottle. This will work. And he had this epiphany, and it was amazing, and it stuck. And to this day, even though we don't really use incandescent light bulbs a whole lot anymore, we still screw in light bulbs. And we do it because some guy had some brilliant idea. The thing is, most ideas don't come from some brilliant idea. Most ideas come when you've explored a number of different things. So I'm going to bring us through a little piece of the design thinking process. So this is one of about 2 million different processes that are out on the internet for design thinking, but possibly one of the most famous ones. And it comes from the Stanford D School. And it's a little bit related to the things that you've learned with respect to being an entrepreneur, like an idea. You get an idea, you understand your customers, you define the space, you come up with an idea, you prototype it and you test it, and then, you might go back to any of these prior steps. But one of the key pieces here is ideation. And so today we're going to focus on ideation. Ideation is the process of coming up with new options. And it's important to recognize that we rarely have these epiphanies like the screw. And sometimes they happen and sometimes they work, but a lot of times the ideas we have don't end up panning out. So it's important to come up with a lot of ideas. Traditionally, we are taught that there is one right answer. And you guys have gone through, from elementary school all the way up into college now, and so often there is a right answer. And you take a test and there is a right answer. And that's definitely true of math and some science, but rarely life. So with design thinking, what you're trying to do is identify multiple options. So instead of there being one answer, and there's actually a variety of different answers by reframing. And so this is an analogy. Let's get real. What you want to do is have a lot of ideas and then narrow down based on choices that make sense to you. It's important to actually separate divergent thinking from convergent thinking. And divergent thinking means like coming up with a lot of ideas and ideas bouncing off of ideas and more ideas coming about. It's this process of going broad. You want to separate that from judging ideas, because your brain actually can't do both things at once. It needs to do one and then the other. And so the best approach is to spend some time thinking broadly and then spend some time narrowing down. And you can repeat that process, but you don't want to be narrowing and going broad at the same time, because it's unlikely that you're going to get very broad. So we want to separate those. The method that is most commonly used, and one that you've probably experienced plenty yourself in life, is for going broad, is called brainstorming. And we're going to be doing some brainstorming today. When you do brainstorming, it's important to follow a few rules. I'll talk why. The first rule, and the most critical, is to defer judgment. And it's particularly because of that issue I was talking about. It's not really possible to think broadly and narrowing at the same time. And judgment is a form of narrowing. So while you are brainstorming, any idea is okay. And you want to embrace that. In fact, you want to go for as many ideas as you can possibly come up with that are actually in the space that you're interested in exploring. And one of the more powerful things with brainstorming is actually building not on just your own ideas, but on other people's ideas. So if you think about it, the light bulb screwing in thing, that came about by recognizing how somebody else solved a similar problem, how to keep the cap on. So build on the ideas of others and encourage crazy ideas, because crazy ideas can spark new directions. So getting really tactical now. There are a lot of different tools out there that you can use in a remote environment like we're in. So if you're working with other people to come up with ideas and do some brainstorming, there are a lot of tools that are out there. There are sticky note tools where it's virtual. It's just like, you know, just like having a pad of sticky notes and sticking your ideas up on the wall, except it's virtual, which again, many of you might have experienced. And I have a list here of some that I've used. And then you could also scribe, where like one person takes notes and you can use almost any tool at all and everybody contributes to it. We're going to explore the sticky note version today because it's more fun. So we're going to, oops. Wow, that wasn't supposed to happen. We're going to do a little brainstorm together, and then I'm going to walk you through a variety of things that help brainstorms become better and richer. And then we're going to end up going through an exercise to narrow and kind of address that whole cycle of ideation. We're going to do it because, you know, we can't travel at all right now. So all I do is dream about travel. So we're going to do it about travel. So we'll be exploring travel. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share a mural with you. And in the meantime, I'm also going to paste the link to this into my chat here. And let me show you for the purposes of our thing here. Can you see the mural board on the screen?
Yep.
Okay. So if you've not used this tool, this is Mural. It's one of many tools that are out there. And if you want to create sticky notes, you click on sticky notes and you type stuff. Okay, so I see you guys are all in there, and I'd like you to, you know, go ahead and screw around for a second. And I'm going to bring this offline for a moment. Bring us to the next thing. Okay, so the first thing I'd like you to do, once you're in there, is to write down on a separate sticky note all the ideas you have for how, that you can think of, for how you might get from here to London. So here being wherever you are right now, Caitlin, if you're really in Hawaii, you know, how to get from Hawaii to London. Me, I'm in San Luis Obispo, how to get from San Luis Obispo to London. And just write down some ideas. And I'm loving some of the ideas I'm seeing here. All right. I'm going to have us build on this. One of the things that works really well with brainstorming and makes it different from just dumping out your ideas is building on other people's ideas. So I'm going to bring us through some of that. First, I'd like you to, in addition to adding your own, go ahead and read some other people's ideas and then create a sticky note or two that either builds on their ideas, extends it, or maybe combines a couple of ideas. I'll give you a moment there. Please let me know if you can't view, because I can always
It
share
also
it.
helps, you can zoom out a little bit, and that way like it's easier to see some other people's ideas, because I know there's a ton of Post-its everywhere.
Yeah, there's in the bottom corner of the screen, you'll see this little zoom settings thing, and it has a little square where you can choose different parts of the screen. And we're all up in the upper corner right now, which is fine because I can see it all. Okay, I gotta add this idea. Let's see. I think I just saw something, but then I'm not sure I really saw it. So hold on. Okay, so we have lots of ideas. Lots of ideas. I'm loving it. Okay, second thing. Now, I'd like you to, we're going to reframe some of these. So taking a look, how might we get from here to London if we were only 2 inches tall? If it wasn't us like normal, but we were somehow able to shrink down to 2 inches. And then the opposite. What if we were 1,000 feet tall? If we were 1,000 feet tall, how could we get to London?
Was supposed to put these on sticky notes? Or?
Did anybody come up with any new ideas? Yeah, I'm seeing a couple new ideas. We're going to keep adding to this. If we lived in the world of Star Trek, how could we get here from here to London? What about Star Wars? How could we get from here to London without using a machine? Is there a way for us to get from here to London instantly? Is there a way for us to get from here to London virtually? I see so many ideas here. This is awesome. Never, never underestimate doing brainstorming with a group of super smart college students. Okay. So we're going back to building up. I'd like you to poke around a little bit, see if there's a couple of ideas that you could combine or build upon or extend and create another sticky note around that.
Someone said, name your house London.
Very nice.
I like that one as well.
I like the party boat. I just want to go on that. We have a lot of blank ones here. I don't know whether it's just not rendering or whether just people have created blank ones.
Created those because if you every time you click, it creates one. So if you're clicking and not actually letting it display.
All right. Let's take a moment. We're going to pause for a moment. If you are writing anything, you can finish writing your thing. But let's go through and remove the blank ones if you can. Let's see. How can we remove the blank ones? I don't know. I can't remove the blank ones. Dang. I can remove my own blank ones. Let's move the blank ones off. Wait, somebody talking?
You can just move them.
Yeah, let's just move them. Let's just move all the blank ones like way over here on the right side of the chaos. Okay. I think it's just super slow because of the sheer number of us that are on here.
Too much brain power. It can't handle all of the ideas.
I know, it's like overwhelmed. Okay, let's see. I can't move stuff. Okay. I'm giving up on my moving stuff. Clearly, we've reached the number of people at which Mural just crashes and burns. Heading back to my pause here. So let's just take a moment and give me some reflections, some thoughts. Like, so we just did this super quick, ridiculous brainstorm, and I brought you through a few different pieces. One was just dumping down your ideas, whatever came to mind, which generated quite a few. The second was building on each other's ideas. So reading somebody else's idea, kind of extending that, maybe combining a couple of ideas. You can kind of zoom in or zoom out for that as well. I had you, gave you different constraints, like what if you were really, really tiny? What if you were really, really big? What if we lived in a different universe? And those sorts of prompts bring up a lot of silly ideas. But then I asked you once again to start building on ideas. And so there's the possibility that some of the silly ideas might have become more realistic. What we've ended up with here is a huge number of ideas. And somebody's kind of grouping them here. So we have a lot of ideas. And what are some of your thoughts thus far? Is that unusual? I'm missing my chat. Where did my chat go?
I think it was unique in the sense that, like, a lot of times when you are doing brainstorming with a group, one person kind of takes charge and other people are like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, let's just roll with that. Where it's not all inclusive, where everyone is pouring in their ideas and then discussing it. It's kind of only one person who's leading the forefront, but this had everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I could have scribed this and asked you to contribute and like written down everything, but no way would we have gotten so many. What's another advantage to that? Having everybody do it at once.
People are like less afraid to say their ideas because everyone's putting like whatever they think, whether it's good or bad.
Right, exactly. The bar is pretty low for people. If you are introverted, you don't want to throw up a stupid idea, anything else, the bar's really low. You can put up almost anything. First of all, everybody's busy. Nobody's going to pay attention to what you wrote necessarily as you're writing it. You don't have to actually speak up and say anything, and everybody gets heard. Everybody's ideas show up. So one of the problems with scribing ideas, if you like capture people's ideas in a conversation, is that someone may not speak up. And here, I mean, someone could choose not to speak up, but if they have an idea, they're going to contribute. And so I like tools like this. They work really, really well and not so slow and kludgy like we've run into problems here when you're dealing with like 5 people, which is, or fewer, which is often the size of group that you might be working on a project with, for example. Okay, so that's going broad, and we always want to go broad, and we would have gone on for some period of time, but we are going to shift now to narrowing. Now, one of the things about narrowing, I'm going to share back my screen again for a second here. One of the things about narrowing is that traditionally people vote on things that they like. And that's not a bad criteria, but really usually you have some purpose in mind or some set of criteria that you have for the project that you're working on in the first place. So for example, we're going to try some narrowing here, and we're going to do narrowing by removing things, or I guess moving them out of the way. And we have a lot of overlapping ones here, but we'll give it a shot. So the first thing is that, so one of our criteria is we want innovative ideas. So, because we want innovative travel ideas. So let's remove any of the ideas that are ordinary. And removing seems to be difficult here, right? So let's try something totally different. I'm going to move where I'm looking over here to the far right of the screen. And let's say these are innovative. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I can't see anymore.
Okay, but the far right side is going to be innovative, though, right?
I went to the far right side of the screen in the hopes of
Oh, there it is.
being able to move the ideas that are not ordinary.
Okay, so everything that's not ordinary goes over by innovative.
All right. And Connor, I can hear you, but almost not at all. Is that just me?
Yeah, I think Connor.
It gets
your
turned
mic-
down. So everything
Okay.
on the right side is innovative, and then everything on the left side is not.
Okay. So
Right?
if you go to the left side of the screen and choose something that you think is really innovative, you can move it to the right side of the screen.
I'm gonna stick this line. So anything to the right of the line are ideas that are innovative.
Putting some order to the chaos, Kaylin. That's helpful.
Except I don't see the line.
I think you might be a little, if you go a little bit left.
I love it.
No. Why would you want to see British people? Who put that?
Become colonized. Okay. So we have some ideas that seem to be more innovative. I particularly love paying a stranger a ridiculous amount of money to get me there while I'm sleeping. I mean, it doesn't explain how you're getting there, but it definitely seems the way to go. All right. So we've removed some ideas. We've captured some good ones. Let's also go back through these over on the right that are more innovative and see if we remove the ideas that violate the laws of physics, because we actually want to build a solution. Then do we have anything left? Falling through the Earth's core, sadly, I don't think that's, maybe it doesn't violate the laws of physics. I don't know.
I saw a video about that from on Masterclass that apparently if you fall through the Earth's core, once you get to the other side, you'll just start falling back the other way.
Okay.
And then you'll just be forever
Go back and
falling
forth and back and
between
forth.
the Earth.
Yeah, that would suck.
That like hurts my head to think
You would
about.
never get to London.
Yeah. Solar powered boat. Okay, I think that one's doable. Hologram, maybe.
You better keep up on Santa's sleigh. You better put that back.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
I was about to say,
Does that violate the laws of physics?
No, it does not.
we're not trying to crush any dreams.
Writing a C2. Oh, okay. Naming your house London. That is got to be one of my favorite answers. I've done this for years. I've never had that as an answer. All right. So we also want to do stuff that we actually like. So let's go ahead and remove ideas that aren't inspirational. Ideas that don't inspire you. Like the submarine. The submarine sounds really awesome, but it's just not.
Oh, hologram. There we go. That's kind of cool.
I don't want to be off topic, but whoever's writing these, I don't know if it's one person, but whoever they are, just create a comedy group because dump some tea in the ocean. And
Oh, thank you.
that's so good.
My specialty is British hate memes.
My favorite is fake a British passport and then commit a crime so you can be extradited. Whoever came
That's
up
the most
with it,
creative right
it
there.
doesn't violate physics. It's very inspiring. It may be illegal, but we can get around that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can work with that.
Certainly.
It's the adventurous way for the discerning traveler.
This is so much
I
fun.
mean, maybe it will become like the newest, like low budget travel craze, just getting extradited from place to place.
I'm glad you guys liked my becoming colonized one.
We'll just make the United States part of London and then bring London to us. On Santa Sleigh. Okay, so obviously the criteria that I'm throwing out there are just some criteria that have to do with the project that we are brainstorming around. And this is for the purposes of illustration. But what you will want to do when you are actually doing a brainstorm is identify what are the criteria that matter to us, and then apply those and use those to filter the ideas rather than just random voting, because random voting ends up usually getting pretty mediocre solutions. Tend not to be the extreme ones that are excellent for testing and exploring. So let's see, where are we now? We have a party boat, a rocket gondola, a lot of party boats here. Santa sleigh, of course. Fake the British passport. I love that one. It's so hilarious. Name your house London. Become colonized. Let's see. Falling through the Earth's core. Closing your eyes and thinking really hard about London. Okay, so I'm gonna take back my screen share here and bring us back. And then I had like ideas that would cost more than $1 million. Maybe we're a startup or we're just starting out. Maybe we should remove the ideas that would cost us more than $1 million because we probably don't have that much money to spend. So some of the rockets might have to disappear. Ultimately, you want to narrow down. So anytime you go broad and you come up with tons and tons and tons and tons of ideas, you want to narrow down, but you don't want to just choose one. You want to choose a few, just a handful, 3 to 5. Because, and ideally those 3 to 5 quite different from one another, so that you can learn something from the next phase in design thinking, which is prototyping. You want to prototype out different things and then test them out with people. This process is the process that you're going to want to use for any entrepreneurial thing you do. My own company is a service company around skills, and it is similarly something where I need to ideate and prototype and test constantly in order to really nail the offerings that are most valuable for people. So people are still making changes here, but I would like to recapture your attention because we're here at the end of the amount of time that I have with you. And I want to ask, do you have any questions about this whole, process of brainstorming and narrowing? And what are your takeaways or reflections from this?
We can come up with way too many ideas and get down to 5, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just keep applying criteria and we'll get there.
And most of them didn't work, but we came up with good ones in the end.
Sneaking into someone's luggage. It's kind of good. Yeah, you can have an insane number of ideas and it seems overwhelming. But as soon as you take out, the mundane ideas, the ideas that already exist today, you start getting rid of a lot of things things that show up. And once you take, like violates laws of physics, that takes even more off the plate usually, because people kind of go to real radical extremes. We came up with some really creative things here in a simple little half-hour thing. What about this idea of criteria? How could you use that in a more realistic situation?
I mean, the money one's probably pretty accurate because you're probably not going to have a lot of money to start a company. I mean, you could, but.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to find a way to
raise money,
get funding, right? But so I tend to think like things that solve for a customer's problems are more important than constraints that like I might have, like I know how to build it. Shouldn't be one of my initial filters. Maybe one of my later filters, but my early filters should be around, does this really solve the problem? Does this really get me to London? And so that's my suggestion when it comes to criteria, is start with the customers and then work your way to your own constraints. Any other questions? People are still playing with this. How much is flyer fees? All right, well, so my point in this whole thing is that it's super important not to go with your first idea, but to explore lots of ideas, because you'll come up with things that never would have occurred to you otherwise. And that's how we get to new ideas in the world. We don't get to them by just building the first thing that comes to our mind. So that's my spiel. Any questions for me? I lost a lot of people on this call. I think there were more faces here. So
it generally happens.
I hope when sorry, I'm on. When can we take your class at Cal Poly? Is it being offered in the winter?
Yeah, my understanding is that we're going to offer it in the winter again, and in the winter quarter. So it's I can't remember the number it's working under, because last year we had this chaotic thing where it got offered under engineering, but it's actually a business class.
I think I'm in it right now. Is it engineering 234?
Engineering 234, yeah. And there are two of us who teach design thinking, and we teach it very differently, although they're both totally design thinking. One is focused more on designing and building, and mine is much more focused on thinking, and both are valuable, but they both kind of follow the same process of understanding your customer and really understanding the problem and coming up with lots of ideas for how to solve it, and building stuff to try stuff out and learn and solve problems that are real out in the world.
Awesome. All right. So if there are any more questions, we can hold that off towards the end. But just to wrap things up really quick, let me finish this up. So just a reminder, everything and anything we talk about during these meetings that we provide resources for, you can find in the workbook that we send every week. The way to access that is to sign up for our email list through the website, and then you'll receive in your email every week. So continue forward. Super cool thing alert. Woo! Jack, go ahead.
Super cool thing. So this is something we've never done before as a club, but we just thought it would be really, really cool to, let you guys show off a little bit, kind of what you're doing, get a little healthy competition going. So if you have a side hustle or if you're starting a side hustle, or if this inspires you to start a side hustle, we're going to be running this challenge every week. It's just a leaderboard, just, like grind, make as much as you can on a side hustle while going to class, and, and compete, and let's see who can just crush it the hardest.
Jack, I have a question.
I have an answer.
What defines a side hustle? Does it have to be a startup, or like, what if I'm just door dashing?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, anything. I would define it as, like, I think my personal running definition of it is going to be anything that's like entrepreneurial, as in you're going out and you're doing it yourself, and you're creating your own thing. You know what I mean? So whether that means, building websites for local companies, or that means door dashing, or making t-shirts, or selling burritos to people, like whatever it is, I think, any of that stuff, like entrepreneurship takes, more forms than we can count, and, all of them are accepted and welcomed and encouraged here.
Hell yeah. So the side hustle challenge form for, updating what your side hustle quantity gained is, can be found on our website. There is a header for it. So if you go on our website, you can easily access that every week. Thank you, Jack. I'm very excited to see how that goes.
Of course, so am I.
Sarah, take it away with associates. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Hi. Is there background noise, or is it okay?
You're good.
It's good. Okay. So, sorry if you guys have heard this already, but for those of you who have not, we are now taking applications for our associates board. So our associates board is essentially a junior board. So as you can see on the slide, it's a really cool opportunity to be a part of a junior board and work collaboratively with our officer board. And it would be a good transition if any of you guys are thinking of being on the officer board one day. It's a good way to get your feet wet with a leadership role. There's so many opportunities of areas you can contribute in. Just a few of them are marketing. We have a blog you could help with. We have a podcast, event planning, outreach, meeting planning, fundraising, and honestly, any ideas that you guys may have. So it's also a cool opportunity to implement your own unique ideas. And I know there's a lot of people here that are freshmen, and this is open to everyone. So it's open to everyone. So especially if you're freshmen, it's a really great way to start your college career off with a leadership role. Or if you're not a freshman, it's still a great opportunity. It's really fun. We have a really great time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Kaylin or really anybody on the board. It's rolling. The applications are rolling admission. So you can apply today. The sooner you apply, the better chance you have. All applications are due by September 27th. And once you submit your application, you may get asked for an interview. And then, if you have any questions about the process or anything, please reach out to me. Send anything in the chat right now. So we're really excited about that.
Ooh, yeah, so 5 days left. Get your applications in. We are running overtime, so really quick. Kaylin, take it away. Tell us what's going on next week.
Yes, will do. So next week is the start of the elevator pitch competition and kind of all of the festivities that go along with it. So this week, Thursday, they're having an info session. So at that link, that's the first third on the bottom. They're having an info session. So it's going to detail what the competition is about, how you can enter, how you can get involved. If you tune into our next CPE meeting next week, Tuesday, we're hosting a pitch workshop. So we'll give you some of those tips and tricks on how to properly present your pitch. And lastly, those video submissions, if you're interested, are due by October 11th. So that's in about 2 weeks. Like I said, the board is here if you need help with formulating your pitches. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Did we talk about next meeting? Next meeting is pitch workshop?
Yep. Like I mentioned again, next meeting is our pitch workshop. So we'll be giving you those tips and tricks. And with some of those ideas we generated today, maybe you can bring those in and learn how to pitch them.
Definitely use whatever you've learned and whatever you're going to learn for our meetings and all CPE, CIE stuff. Don't forget to stay connected. Maddie works super hard on these. These are all of our social media tags and the website link at the bottom, just for updates on everything CPE related. And thank you everyone for coming out to week 2. I hope you are walking away with a new information in your head, ready to get some ideas flowing, change lives. And yeah, if you want to stay back, I know it's the end of the day. You've probably been in Zoom calls all day, but we're here to chat, to chill out. If you have any questions, hit us up. And yeah, that's all we got for you. So have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and look forward to seeing you next week.